Welcome into another episode of Three's a Crowd. I'm Preston Vargas back here for another episode. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, the college football playoff starts on Friday, so you have till then to fill out your bracket. Join us in our CFP bracket challenge group. Link is in the description below. Let's get into this episode where unfortunately we had a lot of injuries yesterday. So we'll start with Patrick Mahomes as the Chiefs' playoff streak comes to an end. First time since 2014 they will not be in the postseason. Their franchise quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, goes down. We later know it's a torn ACL and he's going to be out for the season. So we hope for a speedy recovery for him. But his legacy has already been written. The playoff run comes to an end after five Super Bowl appearances, three wins for Mahomes and Andy Reid. I think this edition of the dynasty is officially done, but I think with Mahomes when he comes back more healthy, I think they can probably make another run at it. I don't think that the dynasty is dead. I think this edition of the dynasty is dead with Kelsey and Andy Reid, but Mahomes is still 30. He's still got a whole back nine of his career to go. I mean, we saw with Brady, he won a couple Super Bowls in his 40s. So I guess anything is possible. So, well, I think, I think Travis Kelsey will retire after this season. That's for certain. I don't really see him coming back. And the biggest problem for the Chiefs is that offensive line. They obviously lost Joe Tooney to the Bears, which is a big piece. And then you had a lackluster running game with Kareem Hunt, who's really washed at this point. You just gotta retool there, get a better pass rush, and just everyone was getting older on that team. And I think it was bound to end this way. So the Chiefs eliminated at 3-8 with a 16-13 loss at home to the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's get into another game. A huge loss for a contending team in the NFC. The defensive end Micah Parsons suffers a non-contact knee injury. We pray that it's not an ACL, but more than likely is from the reports that we've had. And Packers lost yesterday 34-26 on the road to the Denver Broncos. So I think this is a huge loss for the Green Bay Packers. There's no doubt about that. Micah Parsons, even though I hate the Packers, I hate to see Micah Parsons go down. I want to be very clear on that. Even though I have a Bears flag flying in the background, which we got a big game against them on Saturday. We'll talk more about that on Friday's episode. But Micah Parsons, he's a solid player. Open up that pass rushing game for Rashawn Gary, Van Ness. I mean, when we played them the Bears played them the first time, that was a very big, good pass rush for what I saw. And we'll talk about the game more in a second, but yeah, Micah Parsons, big loss for the Green Bay Packers. But let's talk about the game for a second. Bo Nix played out of his mind as the Denver Broncos get the one seed in the NFC with the Patriots loss. So they're in full control of their own destiny there. Bo Nix had 302 yards, four touchdowns, no picks, and he didn't take any sacks against that Green Bay pass rush. And RJ Harvey, another solid game, former UCF Knight, 65 yards, one touchdown. Cortland Sutton, another great game, seven receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. The Denver Broncos, I think, are the favorites in the AFC right now. Now that Kansas City's gone and out of the playoffs, I think it's going to be between Bo Nix and the Broncos and Drake May, the New England Patriots. The AFC is wide open, and we'll talk more about that in another segment on another quarterback. I think we'll have to have a big run this year. But let's talk about Grandpa returning to the field, Philip Rivers. At 44 years old, playing his first taking his first snap since 2020, first game in 5 years, and he got a solid effort. 120 yards passing, one touchdown, one interception. They didn't need him to do a lot in that game, and that's okay. But they still end up getting the loss, even though Seattle didn't score a touchdown in that game. Jason Myers went 6 for 6 on field goals. It was a great day if you had him in fantasy football. Unfortunately, I was going against him in the playoffs, so I'm out, but that's another conversation for another time. But I think if the Colts can, even though they lost four straight now, they got to play the Niners at home the next week, so they got the extra day off there. So, and then you play the Jacksonville at home, which you lost to on the road, but you haven't beaten them in Jacksonville since 2014. This time it's at home. Then you finish off against the Texans. I think there's a slim chance the Colts can still make the playoffs, which would be wild considering their quarterback situation. But let's talk about Seattle for a second. Sam Darnold aired it out. Like I said, no offensive touchdowns in the game. I think their running game is lacking only 50 total rushing yards with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. I think that's going to be concerning going down the stretch of the season. You got a big game coming up against the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday, so you got a short week to prepare for that, which I think that game will decide who will get the one seed in the NFC. JSN targeted 9 times, 7 receptions, under 13 yards. Good game for him, but it wasn't enough. A little bit lower than his usual production. But JSN can't be your focal point on the offense, especially going up into December and down the playoff stretch. I think this game on Thursday night will say a lot on whether Seattle is going to be a contender. Right now, I don't see them as a contender at this point of the season. And now we'll go across the country to the New England area as the Bills came back to beat the New England Patriots 35 to 31. At halftime, the Patriots were up 24 to 7. The Bills outscored the Patriots 28 to I think it was 28 to 14 if I get that number right. But Josh Allen, three touchdown passes, James Cook, two more on the ground, and a great effort there by the Buffalo Bills. Coming down, they were down 21 nothing in the second quarter at the 2 minute warning, mind you. Josh Allen comes back to score with 156 left in the second quarter. Then it's a halftime deficit of 24 to 7. Then coming back, Josh Allen with a touchdown, James Cook with another touchdown, and then Josh Allen gives them the lead to Dawson Knox, who had two touchdown passes in the game, or two touchdown receptions. New England comes back with a 65-yard touchdown by Travion Henderson. I believe he had multiple touchdowns with multiple long touchdowns. Yeah, I had a 52-yard touchdown and a 65. So Travion Henderson is going to be a good running back in this league, getting those explosive plays early. So so the Patriots go ahead, then 6:48 to go. That was it. James Cook up the middle 11 yards to take the lead and never look back. The Patriots had a drive. They went for it on 4th and 5, under 2 minutes to go. Didn't make it. Bills got it back, and that was it. So right now the Patriots still have the one game lead in the NFC, excuse me, the AFC East over the Buffalo Bills. So let's take a look at these two teams' schedules. They got 3 games left. The Bills have the Browns, Eagles, and Jets. Two easy games. One's a tough game against the Eagles, which is at home. And then the Patriots, they will play the Ravens on the road, Jets on the road, then the Dolphins at home, which the Dolphins, I think, will be eliminated by tonight when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. but you got to play Baltimore on the road. That's going to be a tough one. Baltimore won 24 nothing at Cincinnati. That's a it's still going to be a tough matchup on the road for them. And it's going to be a crucial one because that's on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see what happens there. But with that win for the Bills, I think that based on the comparing the two schedules, I could see the Bills winning out, and then the Patriots lose one or two games down the stretch. I think that's going to be the difference. I'll have to double check what the tiebreakers are because they split the season series, but I'll look it up later to see. But depending on who wins the tiebreakers, I think if the Bills went out, the Patriots lose one, they'd be tied. And I don't know who would win the tiebreaker. So I think right now, 'cause the Patriots have to go on the road to play the New York Jets. And that's even though the Jets aren't that good. In fact, they fired their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, this morning. I think that it's still a rivalry game. And you throw the records out the window there. So I think the Patriots will lose two games, maybe, but they're definitely losing to Baltimore next week. So if I were a betting man, I'd pick the Bills to win the division at this point. And now we'll go to Sunday Night Football. JJ McCarthy starting to come into his own. Had one of his best games of the season, 250 yards passing, two touchdowns, one pick. After all the criticism he's had from his play earlier this season, he goes on the road, leads the Vikings to a impressive victory 34 to 26, although it was too little, too late for him because the Vikings were eliminated before the this game started. So, pretty solid effort lessening the questions about McCarthy and his future with the Vikings. This is what I've been saying about JJ McCarthy. Just give him time. I mean, it's only his first season. I mean, let's take a look at the receiving yard, receptions. This one's damning. Justin Jefferson was targeted 8 times, only two receptions for 22 yards. He's a number one receiver. You targeted him the most, but he only got two receptions. I'll have to rewatch the game, but that can't happen. Him only getting two receptions in a game like that, and then Josh Naylor getting two touchdowns. That was good. He's starting to come into his own. I mean, I think he's in his fourth season now, and we'll see how he does down the stretch. But the Cowboys, with that loss, they're now eliminated from wild card contention, but they can still win the division if they win out and the Eagles lose out, which unfortunately I don't see that happening. I think the Cowboys they can win out, but that the Chargers look good right now. Even though they lost a bunch of players due to injury, Chargers aren't a team to sleep on. We saw what happened with the Chiefs. They slept on them and they lost. So the Chargers, they're definitely a playoff team. We'll see what they can do against the Dallas Cowboys. And now let's get into our other headlines. The Chicago Bears look legit as they beat the Green Bay Packers they beat the Cleveland Browns, sorry. Uh 31 to 3 to go back to the top of the NFC North with Green Bay's loss over the Denver Broncos. So right now the Bears control their destiny for the 2 seed and the division. They play uh the Packers on Saturday night in a big game. That'll decide who wins the NFC North. So we'll see what happens. And then Trevor Lawrence throws six total touchdown, or he throws for five, rushes in for one more for a total of six touchdowns in a 48 to 20 win over the New York Jets. And the Jaguars, I think, are They have a one game lead over the Texans. They don't play each other anymore this season, which that's a I think Trevor Lawrence is starting to come into his own. Even though it was against the Jets, you still put up 48 points against an NFL defense, and you got their defensive coordinator fired. Speaking of another big win, the Philadelphia Eagles, a 31-0 shutout win over the Las Vegas Raiders. That game, when the Bears game got to the end of the third quarter, I checked the other scores, and I was very shocked that there's 153 to go in that game, and it was basically already over. When some games were still in the third quarter. I think that game ended at like 3:30. It was like a half hour before the rest of the games. But Saquon Barkley, he got going, 78 yards and scored. So he's coming back strong. And AJ Brown on two receptions for 41 yards, got into the end zone once. But Dallas Goedert, uh, he had six receptions for two touchdowns. I mean, it's good that Jalen Hurts is starting to find his teammates, but Eagles down the stretch, Commanders, Bills, and Commanders again. I think you win 2-3. If you win one more game, you win the NFC East. That's all it will take. And then the Detroit Lions are lose to the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams end up losing Devontae Adams to a hamstring injury. We hope that's not too serious, but it could sideline him for the rest of the regular season. Hopefully, he doesn't miss a playoff game. But the Lions, I think, they're pretty much out of it. Like I said, that was the start of a tough stretch. They're now two games out of the wild card. Their only saving grace is them playing the Chicago Bears. And I think if they lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers next week, that eliminates them from playoff contention. Or yeah, because they got swept by the Lions. I think so. That eliminates them from playoff contention, though, which is wild because we thought they would be. They were starting to come on as one of the best teams in the NFL, and then you end up missing the playoffs. That would be shocking. And then to college football, Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy over Diego Pavia, Jeremiah Love, and Julian Sayin, leading the Indiana Hoosiers to their first Heisman Trophy winner. They play in the playoffs in a couple weeks. They have the first round bye. Then on tomorrow night, the Spurs play the New York Knicks for the NBA Cup. We'll probably be on stream for that. We were on stream for both the NBA Cup semifinals, which the Spurs and Knicks won, which is why they're playing each other in the final. Now let's go to our Monday night preview. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Miami Dolphins. Dolphins surprisingly won four straight games. Right now they're within the hunt of the wild card. Right now set at 3.5 games back. This is a must win for them. They're all must wins down the stretch if they want to somehow sneak into the playoffs, but they will be eliminated if they lose tonight based on other results. So the Dolphin, let me see Tua's stats. Obviously, you beat the Jets last week, then you beat the Saints at home, which the Saints, for some reason, are starting to become pretty good, even though it's way too late. But you rattle off four straight wins. Then you go to Pittsburgh, who coming off a big win at Baltimore to take the lead in the division. But like I said, Baltimore's no joke. They're coming. You play them in the last week of the regular season on January 4th. But yeah, we'll see from this game. They're going to be without TJ Watt for what looks like to be several weeks with that collapsed lung that he had in training, which I don't know what that was all about. He was receiving therapy, but they'll be without him. I think that if I had to make a score prediction, I would say Steelers will win this game, maybe 27-21. So that's gonna do it for today's episode. Don't forget to fill in your bracket for the college football playoff challenge. We'll see you again on Friday where I'm gonna make my picks on the air, and I think Eli might be back on Friday. If not, then on he'll be back on Monday. Either way, we'll see you again on Friday.